Welcome to Brand You,
the ultimate personal branding podcast.
I'm Kaz Grant.
And I'm Toby Lee.
Together, we're here to help demystify personal branding
and to make it accessible and effective for everyone.
Follow along as we guide you through creating your own personal branding journeys.
So, let's get started.
Let's brand you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Brand You podcast, proudly sponsored by Sparkhouse, fantastic working offices here in Lincoln.
So today we have a very special guest with us all. So we are talking to Charlie Lawson, who is from the Unnatural Networker. And we're going to be talking about networking for your personal brand. So how to build like genuine relationships online and offline as well. So really juicy topic for you all. I'm going to pass over to Charlie, who's going to explain what is a unnatural networker.
Well, hello, Kaz. Hello, Toby. Good to be on. Thank you for having me. What is an unnatural networker? Well, you're looking at one when, I look at see one in the mirror. You're looking at one here now. Maybe I'll go back in time a little bit and just give you a brief story of how this unnatural networker thing came about. Maybe that's the easiest way to do it. So I used to run an organization called BNI. Some people listen to this may well have heard of BNI. It's a national, in fact, it's a global organization. I ran it in the UK. And there were two of us that ran the business in the UK. There was myself and my business partner, Tim. And I joke about it. Tim literally did all the work. And I mean that in terms of he did all the work in the business. He did the contracts, the spreadsheets, he was the operations guy. I was the kind of, front of house, if you like. I don't know if I pretty drew the short straw on that one, but yeah, we needed someone. We had an organization, a membership organization, 15,000 small member businesses. And because the founder of BNI was based in the States and come over to the UK once every, 5 years or so, we needed someone on the ground who was present and, able to connect with our members. So I would spend my time speaking, training, on socials, on video, and getting out and about amongst the BNI community, and indeed promoting BNI to the wider business community. I know I haven't answered the question yet. I'm coming to it. But my thing was, my role was to be speaking publicly. That's what I did. So, you're looking for opportunities to speak whenever you can get them. And lots of people kept saying to me, well, you got to write a book, Charlie. You got to write a book. I was like, oh, really? Do I have to? But when enough good people and people you respect kind of say the same thing, you think, okay, I'm going to have to listen to this now. So I started writing this book. And admittedly, I didn't lock myself in a room for 3 weeks and try and do it in one go. I was kind of fitting it around the day job. But let's be honest, I spent a lot of time staring at a screen, not writing anything. Literally going nowhere. It was really terrible. And, I might write a bit. I write a couple hundred words. It was basically a networking 101 guide, given that that's what we were trying to promote and what I was trying to do. I write a couple hundred words and I read it back and go, oh, God, this is so boring. No one is ever going to want to read this. Delete. So that was how the book was going. It was going nowhere fast. Anyway, chatting with Tim in the office one day, and we were just discussing these challenges. And he just said, it came around that I might run a networking organization, but I don't really like networking, whisper it, because I don't necessarily find it that easy. I'm a little bit of an introvert, a little bit shy. It's not to say I can't do it. And let's face it, networking is just chatting to people. We're doing it right now. But I still don't find it that easy. And it was on that day that the title, The Unnatural Networker, was born. And shameless plug alert, there you go. There's my book. That was written 10 years ago now. The Unnatural Networker was written. I've done a follow-up since. Bringing it up to the present, I've since sold the BNI business, and I train lawyers how to network effectively, how to do business development, how to, work better with clients, work better with their own teams as well. So yeah, anything around networking, especially where people don't really like to do it, that's what I like to help with.
That's awesome. I love that, because it's networking is one of those things that I think immediately can put butterflies in your stomach for some people, and some people love it. And I'd say, because my business pivoted, so I used to be an actor, and we were talking about this on a recent episode of the podcast, actually, in that networking for an actor is trying to get down to like press nights and schmooze. And, you know, if you know that someone's in a bar, you're going to go over to them and try and make conversation and small talk and put yourself on their radar. But actually, since working with businesses and as a photographer, you know, I've grown to absolutely love networking. In that, for me, it's kind of like just building relationships and just trying to meet new people and not necessarily like push or sell, which is what some people I think fear that they have to do when they have to do, say, a 60-second pitch of their business. So I think that's really interesting how you've actually come into this from an angle that it wasn't necessarily comfortable for you in the first place.
Can I pick up on a point there? Because
yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Describe that as an actor. You know, as an actor, you had to go to bars, go and schmooze a bit, go and talk to people, go and get some small talk going. And oh my word, that sounds like my worst nightmare. I mean, literally my worst nightmare. I can't think of anything worse than that. And I imagine there's plenty of other people that would say the same. And yeah, you then went on to say, look, networking is just about building relationships. And I think it actually is. And I think that's for me is such a key point about it. I think the biggest challenge with networking is the word networking. Simple as that. Because what do people do when they say, right, you've got to go and network? Right, okay. Networking hat on, you know, let's make sure I'm dressed smart and all good. And then, right, got to go and sell, got to go and bring clients, got to go and, you know, get opportunity, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And actually, that's probably the last thing we want to actually be trying to do. And the last thing that people who want to see us want us to be doing as well. Much better. Let's just have a chat with people and see how it goes and see, you know, how you can help people. What comes of it will come of it.
And absolutely. I love that we're talking about this as a kind of networking thing in person as well, because it's the same online, isn't it? Everybody jumps on like a professional platform like LinkedIn and again, instantly thinks they need to sell. But it's that part, isn't it? You need to start those conversations. We need to build relationships. We need to connect with other humans. But
Exactly. How many times do you connect with someone on LinkedIn and immediately, you know, you accept the connection request? I'll usually drop a quick message saying, hi, Kaz, how are you? Thanks for connecting. How's things? Whatever. Just something very general, immediate. I'm not saying you'd do this, obviously, but you know, 10% off from widgets or like product today or whatever it might be, and it's just too quick.
Kaz and I kind of came across you, Charlie, didn't we, at an event that you were speaking at up here in Lincolnshire, and I think what was great is a lot of the advice you gave was based on storytelling, and you're clearly a fantastic storyteller. Just give us a little bit of detail about like why does that help us build relationships, and what is it about that?
Yeah, well, I think storytelling is fundamental to making relationships work, and in particular, I'm coming from one particular angle. I should be clear, because I give advice on how to network and how to build relationships. Often that's with the intention of maybe some referrals and business development. That's always the angle I'm coming from. And I would argue that stories are always going to be more effective, because what we're going to do is we've got to educate our network. You've got a bunch of people that are all around you in your network, whether online or in person, doesn't really matter. And you're getting to know them well. And once you've got to know them, then you want to use your network. And the best way you can use your network is to empower them with some stories, because the stories, one, they'll enjoy hearing them more. That's for starters. Two, they'll be able to recall them, because they kind of get, you know, once you remember them, you kind of, you know, you find yourself kind of sitting in the same shoes almost, and you can empathize, if you like, and then they will then retell the stories. And that's the crucial bit when it comes to trying to get referrals, because inevitably when you're trying to get a referral, let's say I'm trying to refer, I'm going to use a simple example, I'm trying to refer an accountant, for example. The accountant might be the best accountant I possibly know. I'm delighted with them. I've used them for 20 years myself. They're amazing. And I can talk until I'm blue in the face about that. But in the end, if I'm trying to refer that person to a third party, someone else, that person might go, well, I've already got an account. Yes. Probably do, to be fair. So how am I going to prove, if you like, that it is worth a conversation? I'm not going to say that everyone is going to drop their account and immediately come and be referred to this new accountant, but the story really makes a difference. And I think it applies in a in-person context, it applies in an online context. I was doing a workshop only last week with a group of surveyors. I branched out from legal and went to the world of surveying, and we were talking about storytelling. And one of them asked, well, okay, I get that. We can see how we can tell these stories, when we're out networking, and how we help our clients. But could I do that in a LinkedIn post? I was like, yes, you absolutely should do that in a LinkedIn post. Okay, it might not be quite as in depth, because if you're writing out the full story, it might be pages long, obviously, but you can still get across the narrative. Client was a bit worried, or prospect at this stage, I should say, was a bit worried. Something was going wrong for them. In that particular case, it was building challenges, and they needed clarification on surveying issues. I'm not going to try and replicate the entire story, but yeah, clients got an issue. You come in as he came in as the surveyor and saved the day, and now the client is able to do X, Y, and Z afterwards. That model, it really works to help people understand what you do, and it's also from the unnatural networker's point of view. And I'm going to promote my second book. I'm an unnatural promoter as well. I wrote a book called The Unnatural Promoter. I don't like shouting about myself. So in the end, I'm not shouting about myself. I'm just shouting about how the client felt about how I did. So rambling answer. Hope you can do something with that, because I've kind of gone off here, there, and everywhere. Did I actually answer the question?
Yeah,
absolutely. That was great.
That's brilliant. And it's that getting people to resonate with you, isn't it? And that's why the stories are so powerful, because we can resonate with other people's experiences, feelings, emotions, but we can't resonate with buy my thing, do my stuff. There's a disconnect there, and it just puts people off instantly diving in deeper. Whereas if I'm a nosy human and I'm going in and I'm hearing a story from you, I'll hear all the information that you want me to hear, but it's in a way where I'm intrigued and I resonate and I connect more. So it's that side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, you said a key word there. I think it's the emotion that really counts. So again, another time I was doing, again, similar content on stories, and it was a group of small business owners, and there was one lady at the front when I was talking about emotion, and you could see she was worried about this point. What do you mean emotion? Oh God, I can't do emotion. How does that work? And you pick up on it, because at the front of the room, I said, well, tell us about it. And she said, look, I get how stories could be and can be emotional. I think we'd heard one that day where literally someone's life had been saved by this business. It was a sort of health practitioner business. And she goes, so I get that, but what is emotional about payroll? I run a payroll company. How can I possibly make this emotional? And everyone sort of laughed and kind of looked at me. How was I going to deal with this one? I said, well, tell us about a recent client. Turned out this was in February time of year. She had a small business client, 7 staff, and something had gone wrong at the bank. It wasn't the client's fault, wasn't the payroll company's fault. The bank had messed up something such that the December payroll didn't go through on something like the 23rd of December. It's not that hard to find the emotion when you dig a little for it. And what she actually did to resolve that situation, to make life easier for those clients, she, I think, forwarded them a bit and then reclaimed it from the bank later, suddenly made her really referable because she'd gone the extra mile. So yeah, emotion, really important when it comes to stories.
And effectively saved Christmas with that one. The movies at that time of year, all about saving Christmas. She just saved Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, find storytelling, A, really important, but B, find the human element in it. And so often that's actually not about what we're doing. Usually the story is we're promoting ourselves, we're promoting our businesses, we're promoting, trying to create our personal brand. But it's not us that we're telling the story about, it's how our clients feel, both before we came along, i.e. they had some problems, within the superhero, swoop in and save the day, and then how do they feel after? And that's the crucial bit for referring.
Yeah, interesting. Can I pick up on when you mentioned about networking and telling stories in the aim of getting referrals? Is that your kind of tactic or perspective for networking for you, for your business and your sort of requirements? Or is that how you would recommend the mindset for most people going into a networking environment, that you're going to kind of get referrals, therefore you are going to give the sort of best side of yourself, aren't you, in a way, and share
Absolutely.
the best?
I wouldn't say it's the thing I'd recommend for most people. I'd say it's the thing I recommend for absolutely everyone to do, because let's face it, when you're going networking and we talked about it before, we put our networking hat on, we're right focus, we're gonna get some business. Okay, we might not be direct selling and actually saying, right, 50 quid off, yeah, today, buy now. We're not doing the worst of that, But what we're still doing is saying, well, this. Someone asks, what do you do? I'm going to use simple example again. I'm an accountant. Well, what can we do? We can tax returns. We can do VAT returns. We can do your payroll. We can do your management accounts. You know, effectively, you're listing out your products and services, or that accountant is listing out their products and services. And let's be honest, who goes to a networking event with the thought of, well, I really need to think about my management accounts now? You know, it just doesn't happen, does it? So no, absolutely, always, I would encourage any business owner, anyone looking to, well, anyone going networking, be quite honest, you might not be a business owner, you might just be responsible for business development. And I would always be focusing on stories about how you help clients. It's so much more powerful, and let's face it, it's so much more interesting than listing out your products and services.
Yeah. And I always talk about it like the ripple effect of things. So whether you're in that room networking or you're online and you put that initial content out about whatever, it's not even about those two things in those moments. It's the ripples from them that can come. The opportunities
for
the
random nature of networking. That's so powerful, because if you think, think of your best, if you listen to this now, think of your best client, picture your best client. Where did you meet them? Now, you may have met them at a networking event. That could have happened. But the chances are you were referred to them by someone else, and you met that person through someone else, and you met that person through someone else, and you met that fifth person down the line, or however many far down, you met them at a networking event. Sure. But let's face it, if you hadn't gone to that event, you wouldn't have met that person, and you might not have met any of the other people since. But it's just the random nature of it. I think it's so powerful, and the connections that come and you just don't expect them. I do love that about networking, definitely.
Yeah, because you never know. And I love also this plays into that consistency piece, doesn't it? Again, you can't just go to one networking event and expect to get sales and all the benefits from it or anything like that. You can't put one post out on social media and connect with 5 people and expect everything to come from it. It's the consistency of showing up, isn't it? And building those relationships and those connections. And then the ripples will come later down the line.
100%. If you think it's about the quick fix, and I'm going to go to this event, or I'm going to post online, and suddenly I'm, everything's going to be fine. No, it's not a cure for an ailing business. It's a strategy. I'm going to say lots of people don't do it fully as a strategy. Let's be clear, but done well, it's a strategy that brings in a stream of business over time. But yeah, it needs a consistent approach. Working on the right networks to be involved in, both online and in person, focusing on the right conversations to have, talking about the right, come back to stories, and then getting onto targets as well. How are you being targeted with what you're after? Because let's face it, you've got a network, you've built relationships with them over time. Well, you've got to use them. They've got to, they want to help you, honestly. And genuinely, they do want to help you because of the law of reciprocity. It might come back to them at some point in the future. They want to help you. So how can they introduce you to people? If you're not giving them the tools that they need to introduce you, as in, who do you need to speak to? How do we introduce them? How do we plan the approach so we get it right? Because, like we had before that example, they might just say, well, I've already got an account. Thank you. End of conversation. And then suddenly referral opportunity gone. So yeah, all of these things, it's quite nuanced in how you make it happen, but you've got to get your networking working for you, for sure.
Mm.
So my experience of networking, certainly in Lincolnshire, is that there's a lot of personal brands, self-employed people, and small businesses don't tend to see much of the sort of medium to larger businesses, whether it's because networking in that sort of capacity is not necessarily relevant for them. But if you're somebody who's in the early days of starting a personal brand or your own business, like, what would be your tips to getting into networking or starting to build that strategy that you kind of mentioned there?
Okay, well, there's so many areas we can go there. If we're talking about an unnatural networker, sometimes it's literally take a deep breath and let's get out there and just go and try it, honestly.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a strategy we can explore down there if that would be of use. I think you mentioned at the end there, the key is to have a strategy, and so what do you want to achieve? What are you trying to get from this? probably business development for most people, I would suspect. So who do you want referrals from? Where are those people like to be, or those companies likely to be, or who is likely to be able to give you access to those types of companies? So sometimes it's a link down the line, or you can get referred to an introducer rather than end user. So there's lots of areas we go there. Having a strategy, I think, is key. But yeah, if we're talking unnatural networkers, then I'd say get in the room in the first place and give it a go. I don't know where do you think we should go with this?
What do you think, Az? I'm trying to think where our audience sort of sit, because we do have a mix, but
yeah, well, no, I just think I just think encouragement for people to get out there and start doing it is what I think most people will probably get from this episode. To just get the bravery and just get out there and start doing it. And maybe again looking at it's not just for sales and straight away, but it's the long-term gains of connections in your life, because if your network,
we've got to bear in mind that people are going to do it for a reason. So small business owner in Lincoln, let's just, I'm sure there'll be people listening who find themselves in this position, maybe just started, maybe just thinking, right, I should apply some networking. In the end of the day, yes, you do need to generate some business. If the phone doesn't ring, you're not going to have a business. Let's be clear about it. So we have to have that in mind. But if it's just a bit of confidence, a bit of just get yourself out there, just try it. Here's the challenge I often find, and now we're in my wheelhouse, because I really struggle with going to networking events, and it might seem weird, and you might say, I don't believe it, you're a networking expert, you teach people how to do this stuff, but the fact remains, I still feel a bit awkward. I still feel unnatural, to use my phrase, about going to a networking event. I always think when you go to an event and you kind of get in the door, and let's say you open up, there's a sort of reception area, or a desk where they sign you in, and then there's everyone networking over there, wherever it is, and because they're networking, they're talking, and there's quite a bit of noise because it's people talking. It's 50, 100 people, however many people it is there, they're all making a noise. And I always think, why does everyone else know what they're doing and I'm the only person who doesn't? But I always think, and I know rationally that in 5 minutes time, I'm going to be in that group and I'm going to be chatting away and I'll be fine. And other people coming in the door will think exactly the same. So look, if I could just give myself a kicking from above and just say, look, it's going to be fine. Just get on with it. It's okay. So yeah, here I'll give perhaps, one, we're not doing a training session on this now, but I'll give one tip. All right. You might think, and I'll use my phone here for a second, you might think that the smartphone was designed to get online, to take photos, to do your emails, to get on Facebook, or maybe even make a call from time to time. You never know. It's designed to help us unnatural networkers from looking like a lemon at a networking event. Because here's what I do when I get to a network, maybe even I've had a conversation, I will be in that conversation and I'll be thinking, okay, I can see this is wrapping up now. I'm going to have to talk to someone else soon. I don't know who I'm going to talk to. And I'm like that. And so I might actually stay a bit longer in the conversation. That's another point. We should perhaps come back to that. But I'm then thinking, who am I going to talk to? And my natural impulse reaction, as soon as that conversation ends, if I can't see someone to jump straight into a conversation with now, out comes the fact I'm just checking my emails. I promise you, I am not checking my emails. I just don't want to make it look like I'm talking to nobody. So here's what I suggest. If you're lacking a bit of confidence when it comes to this, is when you go to that big room, you will see people with their phones out. Go and talk to them. Two good things here. One, you don't have to interrupt a conversation, because even when people are quite open to it and they're showing open body language and, they're happy to meet more people, you've still got to side laugh and catch their eye and, do you mind if I join you? All that kind of stuff. So you don't have to do that. You can just jump straight in. And the second good reason about it is, let's face it, they want someone to come and talk to them. And you'll start the relationship off on a good ground because you've gone and talked to them. They're, phew, someone's talking to me. It's just quite nice for them. So yeah, that would be my confidence tip for you, or for people listening to this. For you unnatural networkers, you natural networkers out there are going to be going, just shut up, get up with it. Sorry, just shut up and get on and talk to someone. Yeah. That's unnatural.
I love that, because I've definitely been the one guilty of having my phone out and being stood in the corner within 2 minutes of entering the room. But also, if I you know, if I take my camera around with me as well, because that's a great way to tell everyone instantly I'm a professional photographer, is to have my camera on me. I can just kind of go into, oh, I'm just going to look through these photos I've taken.
You're so lucky. You can get the camera out and be shooting people,
and I can do that. Yeah.
You know, in a nice way, not
sometimes
people. You know what I mean? You could be taking pictures of people. Oh, I think every unnatural networker should get a camera, probably.
Yeah, it is good. You can kind of earwig into conversations and interject, you know, and leave again when you wish to. So it does work quite well in that sense. Yeah. But no, I've definitely been guilty of being the one stood in the corner with a phone.
And I'd argue that even the most confident people that you see in there that are natural networkers are probably not internally, and they might just have been to more meetings and again got used to showing an outer confidence when inside they're still really not.
No, look, there are some natural networkers. I can think of one in my life, but my other half, Hannah, she is the most natural networker. She will talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime, just literally anywhere. And I mean, to the extent that my daughter on the school run would kind of, if they're holding hands, she'd kind of pull her in, say, you know, stop talking to people, just stop talking to people the whole time. So there are natural networkers out there, for definite. But yeah, you're right. There's plenty of unnatural networkers. And I promise you, by the way, they are not checking their emails. They are absolutely not. They want you to go and talk to them. So go and give it a go next event you go to.
Love that.
Love that. So I guess would the same be online as well? Because again, there's a lot of people that will comment on your post, will interact, will engage with you, and you can get caught up with commenting and engaging on those and building relationships, but maybe look for some of more of your ideal audience as well that potentially wouldn't reach out to you first, but that you might be able to go into conversation.
Yeah, I think online it's a slightly lands in a slightly different way. This is where I come back. I mentioned the point about being an unnatural promoter. I don't really like self-promotion, shouting about myself. I find that hard, and I think there's a lot of people that I've looked into it quite a bit. Is it because I'm British? No, I don't think it is, because there's plenty of British people who are very happy to do it, and there's also plenty of people I know who aren't from this country who definitely struggle with it as well. So it's not that just reserved thing. I find it. I posted on LinkedIn about it recently. Actually, I really struggle. Even forget going onto LinkedIn. We'll come back to that in a sec. I struggle just with a WhatsApp group. You know, a WhatsApp group full of mates. You know, these are not people I'm trying to impress in any way. These are people I've known for years and years. I still don't find it easy to post in a group, because I just think, God, what's everyone going to think? Are they going to judge me? Are they going to argue back? I don't know. It's probably silly, irrational stuff, honestly, but I still don't find that easy. So when it comes to posting something on LinkedIn that is there now as this is what Charlie says, and you know, this, I don't find that easy. And I'm definitely on a journey with LinkedIn. I think it's, again, like you said before, it's practice, and you'll get more used to it, and that's fine. But if you're not confident with it, I think commenting, you mentioned there, I think is such a great way to start. You get quite a lot of reach and engagement just from commenting on people. And let's face it, the people whose posts you're commenting on, if you're being targeted about that, same way we were talking about before about who you need to be networking with. But if you're, you know, commenting on people who are going to be useful for you and could be good referral partners for you, well, they're going to like it. They're going to engage. You start conversations that way. So commenting can be a great way for the unnatural promoter to get going. And then hopefully over time, you can build the confidence to post. You don't need to do it every day. You just consistency. I think we said that word before, but doing it regularly is the key. It doesn't look great if your last post was in, I don't know, February 2022, and you know, you haven't posted since then. That doesn't look like a business that's alive and well, does it? So yeah, consistency is really important.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was something you said earlier as well about the law of reciprocity that kind of jigged my thought process as well. And it was about, I kind of thought, well, do you know what? If you're going onto these platforms or you're going into these in-person events as well, not maybe thinking about yourself, yes, we need business, yes, we need stuff to come to us, absolutely. But also, if you're a bit uncomfortable with it, does it help going in there with the mindset more of, I wonder who I could help? I wonder who I could connect to, whoever, because again, that would come back round to you. But would that help maybe with people who are a bit more nervous?
I think it's a great tip to try it, because I think, yes, one, it's a good thing to do generally, as long as you're genuinely meaning it, and you say, so how can I help you, and then you've got to follow through on it. Clearly, if you're just doing it, then and not doing anything about it, that's going to be a problem. But yeah, no, absolutely, it's a great way to network, because it's relationship building. How can you help it? The best way to get referrals is to give referrals, because what happened? I mean, it's a bit like when you go for dinner at a friend's house. What do you tend to do when you walk away? You go, oh God, must invite you over next time. You want to reciprocate, and referrals are just exactly the same. So yeah, no, it's definitely a good thing to do. Is it an easier way to do it for the unnatural? I haven't really thought about that. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. You know, you're taking the pressure off yourself. I should maybe look into that. I might think about some more. I think that's a good shout. I should do a post on it and consider it more. Definitely.
There's the third book,
Yeah.
The Unnatural Referrer.
Exactly. Yeah, no, yeah, the question of whether just that helps, yeah, chances are it probably would, because you're taking the pressure off yourself. And I think that's the main thing. I think a lot of unnatural networkers and promoters feel they can't make it about themselves. They you know, it feels awkward, it feels icky, it feels so. Yeah, if you're trying to help other people, it's a great shout, definitely.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit more about, because I think it's been quite insightful that you mentioned the word strategy with networking quite a bit in this episode. And I tend to turn up to networking events just to kind of either catch up with people I already know or hopefully meet some new people. There's no real strategy to it. And I've realized I'm clearly missing a trick. So tell us a little bit more about like trying to target certain people, or how do we go about implementing that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you use a couple of interesting words there. You use the word hopefully. Hopefully meet some new people. And, you know, hope is a great strategy. You know, we all love referrals, let's face it. When they land on our lap, they're brilliant. But yeah, not much of a strategy. So yeah, I definitely really recommend one key thing is being really targeted and actually being really specific of the person. I don't necessarily mean just the company, the person that you want to speak to. And why the person? Well, quite often, the connections that people are going to come up with this from might be the personal connections. Quick story: I was doing an exercise with a group of small businesses. We were going around the room. Everyone was just asking for a specific person. And as we were going around, there was this guy at the back of the room who was definitely not buying into what I was saying. You could tell from his body language. And there'd been some good connections made. Came to him and he said, no, move on. And I was like, no, come on. Just give it a go. Try it. You've seen some good connections made here. Try it. And he says, look, if you're telling me that a group of small business owners like we've got here in the room are going to be able to introduce me to the marketing manager of the Hilton Hotel Group, I don't believe it. Everyone looked at me going, what's he going to say now? The guy next door to him, and I mean literally sat next to him, said, so there's a good friend of mine. Our kids go to the same school. We play golf together. We actually live in the same road. They weren't next door neighbours, but a couple of houses down. He's the chairman of the Hilton Hotel Group, but I don't think I'm going to refer you because I don't really like your attitude. That's
no way. Wow.
Shut him up, firstly, and prove my point, which was excellent. The key is, it sounds counterintuitive to say, I want to speak to, I'm going to use that example again, the marketing manager of the Hilton Hotel Group, because you think, well, what's the chances? You know, honestly, what the chances? And let's be frank, it's not going to happen very often. And you might think the counterintuitive bits, well, I'm going to rule out all of those people over there just to go for this one over here. But here's what happens. One, we've got to train our members, our network, how to refer you. And you know, if you've got the relationship, then they want to help you, so they will try and do it. It may be they don't know that person. It may be they know someone a bit like them. They might know someone else at that company. They might know someone else at a company that's similar to them. All sorts of things can come up. And it may just be they know that person and they can make that referral really easily. Yeah. So my strong suggestion, think targeted, think strategic. Who do you need to speak to? It's really powerful when you do that.
And they might not be in the room, but online world, we're even more connected.
Exactly. When you get onto LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I used to work with a networking group. Full disclosure, it was a BNI group because I was involved in BNI. I used to work with one particular group, and I encouraged them to do this, and they all wrote them down. They had a little sheet that they all filled it out, and afterwards, at the end of the meeting, they'd circulate it, and they'd people would do with it what they did. I always just put it to the people in my office. I didn't go on to LinkedIn even. I would just put it to the people in my office and said, can anyone help? You know, random request. every single week I did that, or every single time I did that, I would get someone who would have some sort of a connection somewhere, be it, I had a friend who used to work there, or I think I know someone, or I know someone a bit like that. Every week it happened. So when you get onto LinkedIn and really work it and start looking through secondary connections, I'm not even going to think about third degree connections. Amazing possibilities.
That's great. That's really, really cool. So I think that kind of leads us nicely to the action step part of the episode. So what we do, Charlie, is we like to give some sort of task or activity that listeners can take away. So each week, hopefully, if they're following along with episodes, they're building their personal brand and they've got one thing to think about for that week to sort of implement. So with regards to networking, what would you sort of set as the actionable step for our listeners?
Well, I'm going to go straight back to that point I just made. Let's be really targeted and let's be focused on it, and let's build our specific referral target list. So I would encourage anyone to have, I'm going to say it's a rolling list, honestly, because it's going to change over time. Hopefully you get introduced to these people. Sometimes you might find, well, they're not interested in your service. That's fine. But you have a rolling list, let's say top 10, that you continue to have and you just maintain and you share with people on a regular basis. Now, maybe getting to 10 straight away, you can build that. Let's get 3 on the list right now. So everyone get out there, get 3 targets on your list, and then start asking your network for them.
I love that. I'm definitely going to do that. I need to do that.
Me too. That's really helpful. Thanks, Charlie. So Charlie, where can people find out more information about you should they wish to? Obviously, we're going to share stuff in the show notes, but is there anything that you can pass on where they can find you, or anything helpful that they can use to help their own networking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, best place to find me is probably LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me there. Charlie Lawson. You'll see it. You can work that bit up. The other thing I just point you to is I have a little quiz. And let's face it, who doesn't love a quiz? You can get a score. You got to see how you're doing. But the quiz is all about how ready your network is to refer you. So based on what you're doing, your activities, and how you're engaging with your network, are they likely to give you referrals? Quite a useful score, I think, for people to know. Because if they're not doing, and if they're not ready to refer you, well, we need to work on it and help out. So I've got a little quiz. I guess you put the link in the show notes, but feel free to take it. It's free. It takes 3 or 4 minutes. You get a personalized report, and love to help you if I can in some way.
Fantastic. Great. Well, thanks so much, Charlie, for joining us for this episode. It's been great to have you on.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So that's all we've got time for in today's episode of the Brand You podcast. It would really, really help us out if you can like and subscribe on whichever platform you're listening or following us on, and keep an eye out for future episodes dropping weekly. Thank you again to our sponsors, Sparkhouse Lincoln, and thank you again for Charlie for joining us.
Here's to branding you.